It's Thursday, July 13th, Friday, July 14th. If you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under, and this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, home of the NBA champions, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Soon, we will have a plethora of features for you. The Gavinator is working diligently on those. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 today. I got to say this. Congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. We're a little jealous here in British Columbia because it's been about 17 years since the NBA pulled the plug on the Vancouver Grizzlies and moved into Memphis. But this is a big, big moment for Canada. A little redemption, shall we say. I know we got a lot of listeners out in Toronto. Congratulations to your Raptors, winning in 6 games over the Golden State Warriors, 114-110 in game number 6 for the first NBA title that leaves the United States. Good job, Toronto. Party smart. And please, for the love of God and the rest of Canada, we don't want to see Drake for the next 55 years. We don't. We've had enough of him. Leave Drake out of the celebration. We don't need the close-up shots of him. Kawhi Leonard? Sure. Kyle Lowry? Sure. No more Drake. Let's have a Drake-free celebration to celebrate the Raptors across this country. Congratulations, Raptors. Good job. Good job. Now, the battle between dark and light is strong in this world for some, and for people like Nathan Gillis, they are here to learn, report, and defeat the devil's work. Nathan is a religious demonologist who deals with some of the darker cases and experiences people incur. Does it tie to the paranormal? What are ghosts? And how do you deal with the situation when you're dancing with the devil? His website, njgillis.com, if you want to check it out. Then in hour number 3, I will bring you the news on the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Nathan Gillis, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. This is a topic we don't hit very often on this show, but I'm glad I got one of the best for our audience to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations again to Toronto. What an awesome series. Huge Kawhi fan, I have to tell you. Huge Kawhi fan, not so much Drake as much as I am Kawhi. But again, tremendous series, and congratulations for being world champions.
Absolutely. And one of my Toronto listeners, Canadian Joe on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, what does he do to celebrate? And just to upset me a little bit, posts a gif of Drake right there. We don't need more Drake. Celebrate, fine. We don't need more Drake in this world.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
no doubt.
Nate, do me a favor. For our audience that may not be familiar with you and how you got into this, take a couple of minutes to explain how you became a religious demonologist.
Very good. Well, I was 8 years old when my family went to purchase a new home, and I remember my dad taking me by the hand, leading me into my room to be, and I just remember smelling what Dr. Barry Taff, the towering Dr. Barry Taff, would call a decomposing or rotting organic matter. And I looked underneath the bed, and I saw a little girl wearing period linen dress, long black hair, and she seemed to be fearful and afraid of us. And so later on, we got back in the car, got back to our other house, I'd asked my dad about the family. You know, I'm thinking in my mind that they have kids. I was 8 years old. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But long story short, they didn't have kids. It was an elderly couple who had passed away, and the children were actually selling the estate. So that was a ghost, essentially. And that led me into moving into that house, into that very room, in dealing with not really poltergeist activity, but a profound haunting. And then after I experienced all of that, it would follow me to different places and actually different houses as I grew up. And so what led me into this research, this great research, is I wanted to know for myself that I was not crazy. And me growing up in Christianity, I come from a Christian background. My dad's a pastor, so I'm a PK, but I wanted to know for myself that what I experienced was real. And I wanted to know if there was anybody else in this world that had similar experiences. And so that's what really got me into being a religious demonologist and really peering into the darkness and praying for my eyes to adjust.
So growing up since 8 years old, being around this paranormal activity, what was it like having an attachment spirit to you throughout your childhood?
Oh, very dark, very sinister, unexpected, like you couldn't prepare for its presence. I remember, I failed 2 grades because when I was living in that house, there was such a darkness about it. I remember going to bed in the middle of the night, and I'd fall asleep, and I would have the same nightmare of a young boy putting a gun in his mouth and killing himself. I would have that nightmare. It was always in black and white, but I would have that nightmare for weeks, to the point where I would have to stay up all night because I was terrified. You know, the room was heavy. It was thick. You could smell sulfur. And so I would stay up all night, and then I would catch about an hour of sleep before I went to school, and then I would just pass out at school. And it just, it was a regular haunting. The more I learned about this phenomenon, the more I realized what was happening. It was feeding off of me like a parasite. It's parasitical in nature. But as an 8-year-old, it's bad enough to be an 8-year-old who is in the middle of Christianity and going through a haunting because, you don't have anybody to go to, really. But it changed me. It changed me in ways that I can't really comprehend, really, and I can't really communicate. I mean, it put me into a world, a dimension that was so far more real and in-depth than I could have ever imagined, dude.
Oh, you got to tell me about that. How real was it?
It was more real than what this is. For instance, when I would wake up in the middle of the night, I would have the nightmare. I would come out of it, and I would just start crying. And I would look into the corner, and there would be this dark, ominous cloud just in the corner, just hovering. And the way it would make me feel, I'll never forget this, the way it made me feel was that I was absolutely nothing in its presence, and that whatever I was feeling was absolutely huge. And it just made me feel like I was worthless, disposable. And so the longer I had to deal with that, I mean, like I said, I failed, I think it was 1 or 2 grades, and my schooling got all jacked up. And finally, one night, I remember looking out the window, and I saw this shadow figure, which, again, at the time, I didn't know what this was, right? I'm 9 years old. I'm playing Tony Hawk. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I was a kid. And I looked outside the window, and I saw this dark, tall, what I know now to be a shadow person. And he was just looking at me. I didn't see the eyes or anything. He was just staring at me. And I remember pulling my mattress into my parents' room and, just praying to God that I never saw that thing again. Well, the next morning, it was in the wintertime. The next morning, I went outside, to go to school, and I looked over, and right in front of my window sill were huge footprints in the snow. And I was a little guy, and so I didn't realize. I went back to that same house about 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't realize it, but the window sill itself was darn near 7.5 feet tall. So whatever this thing was, it was huge. It wasn't human, but it had physicality to it, and it had weight. And so that's what really opened up my mind to this research as far as being a religious demonologist, and really gave me alternative understandings as to what it is we're experiencing. And it gave me a very, very soft spot in my heart for other people who are locked in a religious system, who go to their clergyman and they don't really have anyone to help them. And that's why I'm here tonight. And that is my whole purpose in this research.
Do you feel that having the religious background that you do really pushed you towards searching for these answers, because you, growing up, had heard all of these stories through the Bible, through your father's teachings as a priest, or pardon me, a minister, and, you know, growing up in that lifestyle? Because for many, we try and find our own answers for what's going on, but this seemed to take it to another extreme.
Yes, absolutely. And see, I grew up in Pentecostalism, and it was the most paranormal. It is the most paranormal in the loosest sense, the most paranormal sect of Christianity. I mean, you know, it wasn't nothing for me to go to church and see a demonic possession and that person, you know, be delivered, or different, what they call the gifts of the Spirit in operation. So I wasn't new to the paranormal or the preternatural, supernatural. But when I experienced, you're right. I delved deeply into the research, going back centuries, even back to Father Sinastri of Emino, the Franciscan priest, and he was a demonologist. I mean, so I did go to the religious text to help me understand at least a portion of what. And after I've done that, you know, it transformed my understandings, but it allowed me to understand that there's a freedom that must be felt when approaching this subject, and that this subject cannot be defined by one strand of theology, if that makes sense. And so after I went through and shredded all of the research from Hans Holzer to Brad Steiger, Dr. Barry Taff, all of them. And once I got down to the nit and grit of it, it changed my perspective. And then I went back to the Bible and understood, okay, maybe they got a lot of things wrong. And that's primarily where my research is sitting at this very moment.
Our guest tonight, Nathan Gillis, on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking about demons, demonology, the occult, everything that goes on. So do you consider yourself still a Christian man now, or do you consider yourself more into your own spiritual health?
I'd say a little bit of both, if that's possible. I am a Christian. I follow the Christian tradition. As far as my field of research, I do feel that there's a great amount of literature that contributes to this study from the Christian tradition. If you go back into the demonology of King James, even, you know, there's a lot of things that they offer. But as far as my research, I mean, I delve into the jinn of Islamia. I go into the incubus and succubus, like the incubus succubus. Then you have the debuk of Jewish legend and lore. So I don't strictly limit what I believe and what I read to the Christian tradition, because I believe that many times there's a lot of researchers that won't delve into other issues and other religions, and therefore we're not really studying the width and breadth of this phenomenon as much as we could be. We're just clinging to sacred cows. And I'll be honest with you and all of the listeners, if I have to slay a sacred cow to help somebody get delivered from a haunting, I will gladly do it without any human regard.
Yeah, that ain't cool.
So,
that ain't cool.
No. And the Christian tradition, like I said, has a lot to offer, but so does the Islamic tradition of the Jinnah. And I think as far as the daemonis, or the demon, as far as that goes, I don't believe that there is one particular religion that has all the facets of this entity, or what I call independent entity. They don't have all the answers, but I believe if we could welcome everybody, sit them down, and listen to their perspective, perhaps we'll get a better understanding of what it is that we're dealing with. And so that's led me to different things, and that's why I would like everybody to contemplate this. And if I'm rambling, just tell me to shut up. Sometimes I get going. I'm just going to be real with you. So I think that this phenomenon is so deep, it's so profound and meaningful, that it's high time for us demonologists to create a different language and different terminologies for what it is we're dealing with. So when we say the word demon, the question becomes, okay, what is a demon? Depends on who you ask and what religion. And so that's why we have to, in my book, we have to add different terminologies and change the way we talk about this. And I think that will really add to what it is we're dealing with and how we approach this research. I can go anywhere with this, man. So I'm just
I think it's something that we do need to look into, though, because the religious aspect of everything does affect the way you do research. It does create a little bit of a bias of good versus evil, whereas a lot of people will say you're just dealing with things that are paranormal and unknown, or maybe it's part of your imagination. There is a real scientific and spiritual group out there that, or multiple groups out there, I should say, that look at all of what you were saying and say, geez, Nathan, you're a little blind to the fact that, you know, you're calling this demons when we're calling it ghosts or angry spirits. So how do you deflect the difference between what the paranormal crowd would be calling ghosts and spirits, maybe angry or not, and what the religious crowd is calling demons?
Well, first of all, the daemonis, that's a Greek word that we found in the 1611 King James Version of the Bible. Now we're going to get into some good stuff here. So when you're dealing with the Christian tradition and we hear about a demon, the first thing we think of, or at least me, I think of, a beast with horns, hooves, and a tail, and a pitchfork, something that comes from the infernal fires of Hades. And that's not necessarily true. If you go into the biblical antiquity, into the Hebrew writings, their concept of the demonic was a linguistic umbrella that they used to describe fallen angels and evil disincarnate spirits. So when someone says, okay, you go to I grew up at church, so I would go talk to a pastor about it, and he would say, okay, I don't believe in disincarnate spirits. I believe, you either go to heaven or hell, but I do believe in demons. And he would go to the Bible and say, because they use the word demon in the Bible, this is what I believe it is. The problem is, like I said, linguistically, that was what they called a functional migratory term that was picked up. It comes from, for instance, their old demon is shadim, S-H-E-D-I-M. I'm not a linguist, but I will get into this real quick. That is a loan word that the Hebrew Israelites picked up from the Akkadians in Mesopotamia. It wasn't their own word. So in other words, what they did is they took that term for demon and they applied it to one of, if not both, the disincarnate evil spirit, or before we even approach the Holy Writ and understanding what they believed, we have to approach it with the understanding first that when it mentions the demonology or daemonis or demon or shadim, it could be one of the two, and it's not necessarily exclusive to a fallen angel. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yes.
Okay, so it could be one or the other. It's not solely. See, Christianity taught me, okay, it's always a fallen angel. That's not true. It was either a disincarnate spirit, which later on Judaism called a dibuk, or it was the spirit of a fallen angel. Now, what's very important is this. If you just let's take this and compartmentalize it. If we just take the understanding that a demon is a fallen angel, okay? Forget the disincarnate spirit. Let's put that to the side. Let's go to the origin of the demon being a fallen angel. It comes out of Genesis chapter 6 for all the Bible scholars out there. And I'm sure you're familiar with Stephen Quayle and all the other guys out there who talk about the Nephilim. Okay. Now, the problem that I have with this, it's a very, very, I give people fits about it anytime I can. Because the common understanding of a demon in Christianity is that it's a fallen angel, not a disincarnate spirit. But if you go into Christianity in Genesis 6, it tells us a tale of where the demon came from, the fallen angel. And it's not just a fallen angel, it's the combination of a fallen angel marrying a woman and cohabitating with her, producing the Nephilim. Now watch, Nephilim itself is not a demon. But when they die, now I need everyone to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. When the Nephilim die, then their spirits become disincarnate, and voila, we have demons. So, either way you look at it, we do not have the concept of a demon, either the disincarnate spirit or the fallen angel. We have none of those until someone takes their last breath and dies. And that right there is a game changer. And so when I talk to, because I have a lot of friends in the ministry, even rabbis, and the rabbis understand this stuff. The Jewish rabbis do. But a lot of the Protestant or evangelical Christians, growing up, we had no concept of that. So that was our go-to, right? Well, that's a demon. And, the Bible says demons exist. I don't believe in disincarnate spirits. But they didn't realize that if they believed in demonology, even in the Old Testament, that they are in fact believing in the power of an evil disincarnate spirit, be that of a fallen angel, right, who died, and now he's disincarnate. Right, you follow me now? So it's a thematic element that goes throughout all of the tapestry of the Holy Bible. And so that's one of the very first key points I want to make. I don't care if you believe that it's demons or fallen angels or not. The point is, they were disincarnate, period. And that right there, if going into the Old Testament, that right there will at least give us a direction to go to. And that's what helped me in my research. Once I nailed that, coffin down, there was no other way to go. And so what I did is I took that in theology, they call it a hermeneutic, or a way to understand the scriptures. So I took that and I went through the Holy Writ in the Old Testament and began to go through, and I was really looking for a pattern, what I call a paranormal pattern in the Bible. And lo and behold, there's a great deal of them. And I think that's what's really got people's interest in this, because, when I grew up, I was always taught that this was taboo. It's a lying spirit, and really what it was just a bunch of fluff.
Nathan, I'm going to get you to hold on right there as we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Nathan Gillis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Demons, demonology, the occult. We're getting into it all tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you for allowing us to share our evening with you. Reminder that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Space Out Radio. That's where we store our archives. They are all free for you. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. The man, the myth, the legend, the Gavinator is working on it tonight. So make sure you check it on out because the features are going to be starting to be added very, very soon. Before we bring back our guests, I want to say a big shout out to Gene in D.C. How you doing, Gene? Hope you're enjoying tonight's show. Give me a call sometime. Now, Nathan Gillis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we are talking demons, demonology, and all sorts of really dark woo. Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here. I'm excited. Very excited.
Got to ask you a real manly question here, bud, because around here we like a good beard, we like a good head of hair. How's the hair looking for this interview?
Looks great. It's very full.
Perfect.
Long, too, so we're good there. We're good.
Well, you know what? We can appreciate that, and our audience will like that as well. Hey, I want to get into incubuses and succubuses because I can tell you right now, my ex-wife was one of these. Not a pleasant person. Mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, still pissed off. A house landed on her sister back in the day. Took it out on me. Daughter's not much the same. Now, I joke and I digress when I say that, except about the mother-in-law or the former mother-in-law. But when it comes down to it, this is pretty real. This is stuff that is happening. And I literally knew a friend of mine who got involved with the succubus. He got together with his girl. They got engaged. And literally everything that you would, if you look up the succubus of what happens, his energy got drained. He wasn't sleeping. He was working longer. He was getting cut in salary. The property that was in his house for 42 years, she forced him to sell it and take the money and split it with her. And all of this, like, it was just absolute insane how it related to what the definition of a succubus can be on a human side. How real are these entities?
They're very real. They're sinister. They're evil. They will groom their victims like a pedophile will a child. They will manipulate your insecurities. They will know you perhaps even better than you know yourself. And primarily the incubus and succubus, according to history, it's always about sexual intercourse. And this is what led me into my perception of an incubus and succubus. See, let's lay everything out. All right? What we're doing, the problem with religious demonology and modernity is that what we do is we look at what a demon does and define that demon as what it does. Breaking news, a demon is not what it does. So when we look at the incubus and succubus, one of the great demonologists, my favorite, is Father Sinastri of Amino. He was a Franciscan priest, and he wrote a thesis on the incubus and succubus entities. He classified them as native. He classified us, humans, as natural. He classified them as native. And in the end of the thesis, he says some very interesting things. He said, number one, the incubus and succubus entities have to have organic physical appendages in order to accomplish the acts on their victims that they're doing. Number one, they have to have the hardware. Number two, they have to have a sense of the sensual. In other words, they have to have had it before. So Sanashri comes out and says that, number one, they have to have the physical hardware, the physicality, because he would have cases where there was both homosexual and heterosexual rape, and there was actual damage done to the body cavity. So this is not just a spiritual phenomenon. It's a very physical manifestation. And so he to be sensual. And then he comes out and says something very interesting for all the demonologists out there. He says that these particular demons, right, in quotations, demons, they do not have a fear of the church. They do not have the fear of the cross or holy water or any of the religious items that normal demons would have a fear of. And so it was for that reason that he took these demons out of the context of just the demonic, and he placed them as being animalistic in nature. But I want to posture this, okay? I want to say that these incubus and succubus spirits were, in fact, human beings prior to be disincarnate, and now, in fact, horns and hooves, but disincarnate people who have inherited their tastes. I mean, come on. They have homosexual rape in the incubus, succubus cases. So what we're dealing with in my research, and I can prove this, is that we're not dealing with demons as fallen angels. This right here, these particular incubus and succubus, these are disincarnate spirits who lived and died and are evil, perhaps even more evil than they were when they were in life. Now, we can get into how this connects with the Jewish version of the Dibuk, or I know some people call it the Dibuk, and I think that right there, those two, when they work hand in hand, it will really change our perception of what it is that's going on. I believe it's going to be absolutely profound. I'm excited.
So with this, can it, these incubuses and succubuses, obviously the incubus is male and the succubus is a female entity, are they former humans? Are they dark spirits? What are they exactly?
Both. Matter of fact, oh gosh. See, they're both. Okay, first of all, I do not believe, and I can go in many different directions. I'm one of the demonologists, if not the only one, that does not subscribe to demons being horns and hooves and tails and some kind of mystical, esoteric, fallen angel who now has nothing better to do than come over there and get touchy-feely with me in the middle of the night. It just makes no sense at all. I am under the understanding that the incubus and succubus spirits are people who committed the same crimes or wanted to in life. And when they're disincarnate, now they'll do it even more with a license. We can talk about what the different licenses are and how that they have their own belief system and rules in which they follow. But the primary research, the research that yields the most fruit, if I could say it like that, the most literature is not about the incubus and succubus. It's not Father Sinastri, God rest his soul, great dude, but it's the research of both Isaac Luria in the 13th century. He was a Jewish Kabbalistic teacher, and Chaim Vital, which was his student. And what they did is they incorporated the Dibuk phenomenon into the world of this research. And so what I'm saying is we can talk about the incubus and succubus, but that's just what they do, right? That's not who they are. It's a role that they play. It's not who they are. Like I was talking to another guy, and I said, you're a dad, right? He goes, yeah. I said, is that who you are? No, that's a role. And what I fear, and I think that for the last 3 centuries, demonology has hung their hat on defining demons based upon what they do. And watch this. If that's how we define them, then that's how we approach them. That's how we respond to them. That's how we war against them. And if a demon is a demon, he'll do something. It will do something. But that doesn't mean that what he does defines everything about him. I'll put it to you like this. Let's go to Psalms 91. And in academia, we call it the protection prayer, the prayer of protection. David was the very first exorcist in the Bible. And he comes out and he's talking about how God protects him. And he's listing in the King James Version Bible, it gets murdered as far as the translation. But he's listing in his mind what are demons to him. And so he goes down and he talks about the terror at night, the thief, and the arrows by day. And in English, all we look at that, all we see when reading that is action verbs, right? The demon that does A, B, and C. And so even David is learning how to define these entities based upon what they do at a particular time, which is an awful way, in my mind, of approaching this. Reading it in English, it gets murdered. Now, for the scholars out there, if we read Psalms 91 in what's called the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, if we read that text in the Greek translation, you're going to have absolute flagship demons mentioned. For one, you have what's called Pakad Lila. That is where in the you go and then you have the terror at night, which is your incubus. And then you have the what's called Resheth, which is another demon. And then so the point is this. David is giving us a glimpse of what he fears. Now, the problem that I have with that is that the demons that he's listing in that passage are alien to the Hebrew Israelites. Now, these were idols to other people, to the pagans, if I can use that word. These were idols, but to a Hebrew Israelite, how did they suddenly become demons? They didn't. Matter of fact, after Psalms 91, you have David coming back, and watch this. This is very interesting to me. He comes back and he says, these idols and demons, he said they have eyes that can't see, mouths that can't speak, ears that cannot hear. And then he comes and slaps them with a title, or a description rather, that is haunting. No pun intended. He gets done with that plethora in that I guess he's just ranting and raving. And he says, you know what? He says, after all of that, they don't even have breath. Now, I think that's kind of obvious, right? Number one, yes. Idols don't have breath anyways, right? Idols don't have breath. That's the first reader. And to think of a fallen angel having breath, that's obvious too, right? So he must be talking about something. And I was talking to a psychologist the other day, and I asked him a question. I said, you know what's interesting? I said, there are some things that are so alien to us that if someone were to ask us about them, we wouldn't have anything to say. I said, it's like this, what does the color blue smell like? We don't have an answer. Why? Because there's no historical precedent. Why? Because it just doesn't exist. The color of blue doesn't really have a smell to it, right? So what I believe David is doing here is he is dealing with the nature and origin of the real demon, not the fallen angels, not the idols, not the gods. He's dealing with a particular kind. Now watch this. The Hebrew word breath is ruach.
Okay. What is ruach?
Understand what David is saying. Hold on, this gets deep. When he says that they have eyes that don't see, ears that can't hear, mouths that can't speak, then he comes back and says they have no breath. He was slapping at them by saying they don't have eyes that can't see and ears, all that stuff. He was slapping at them. But he comes back around and puts them in the ground with the fact that they have no breath. That word ruach does not just mean breath as in, okay, I have a breath in me. But he's pointing to the origin of the demon that he's referring to. This is awesome. It's not just breath. It's breath that is acquired by the inhaling through the nostrils. Now, think about that. Where have we heard that from?
Just so all of you know, I will be talking to him about his cell phone during the break here because we're getting a few too many cutouts here on Spaced Out Radio. His name, our guest tonight, Nathan Gillis.
God breathe.
Hey, Nathan.
Do what?
Nathan, I got to cut you off right there. We're getting some really long cutouts of about 20, 25 seconds from you here. It's happened about 3-4 times now. So I don't know if you can move to a better part of your house there. So we got about 5.5 minutes before we go to break. And just repeat what you were saying, my friend.
Yeah. So when dealing with this, it's important that we understand that when David's talking about the ruach, the breath, he's not talking about fallen angels. He's talking about people, sons of Adam, who, like Adam in the book of Genesis, inhaled the breath of life through his nostrils. Did you catch that?
We did not, but now we did.
You did? Okay.
Yes, we did.
So, we're not dealing with hooves and horns. David is talking about how these entities, they don't have the breath of being breathed through the nostrils. So what my point is in this is that I believe that the real demon that we're talking about, the real demon, they are in fact sons of Adam who have breathed life through their nostrils. They've lived and died, and they have become these evil spirits, both the Debuk and the incubus and succubus. And when we understand that concept, going into the New Testament, that forget about the other idols and all the other pseudo demons and start to focus on these other entities who do have breath. In other words, they were created. They were sons of Adam. They did get life breathed through them to them, brother, from Yahweh. And so that taking that concept and going into the New Testament, that's why your demonology from the Old to the New Testament changes drastically. And that's why when I approach it, and especially when we talk about the demoniac and the Gadarenes and how it wasn't a demoniac at all, we'll probably get that in the next chapter of tonight's interview, but it was a necromancer. So we go from the demonic in the Old Testament to where they don't have breath, they don't exist, they have nothing, to the New Testament, and all of a sudden we have a new term, and that is what's called akathartan pneuma, or unclean spirits. And that right there is a hook, because I can't wait to talk about that.
Well, you know what? Before we get going, because we have 3 minutes before we go to break here, in regards to the Dibuk or Debuk, as you were calling it, what kind of spirit is that? And how is it attached to this legendary box?
Well, it's called an ossuary box, and it was a part of the rites of burial in ancient Hebrew Israelite culture. It was one of the 7 steps You would be buried twice. They would bury you. They would actually put you in a tomb, wait a year to where your meat, rather, I can't say it any other way, your meat falls off, you decompose. They would take your bones, put you in a box, and then bury the box. And so the Debuk box originated from the spirit of the deceased haunting its remains. And that's how we get in the Debuk legend. But the Debuk itself, and it's, for one thing, we do not have a Hebrew term for possession in the New Testament. Matter of fact, if you went to a rabbi, they would tell you probably they don't even believe in demonic possession as far as a fallen angel possessing someone. The Hebrew word, if you go to ask them what the Hebrew word for possession is after the New Testament, what is it? It's Debuk. Isn't that interesting? And the Debuk itself is literally an evil, disincarnate spirit of someone who's lived, died, and has no rest right now. And we'll get into that later, hopefully.
The evil that comes from these boxes, which there are some originals out there, but there are also some recreations. Does the recreation boxes that you could get on eBay or something along those lines have the same evil as the originals that seem to be out there?
No, I don't think they do. No. And I'm not to say that there might, not to say that there won't be a spirit attached to it. They could attach to anything. But as far as the Debuk, no, your Debuk was always taught as a spirit that was haunting its own remains. And we can go all the way back to even before Jesus Christ was born. And we have a guy, I forget his name, he was a Greek sage. He was, I think it was actually Pilate, one of Pilate's educators who taught Pilate. And he went to a hotel that was haunted, woke up in the middle of the night and saw an apparition of an old man with chains. Next day, he went to Pilate and said, I want to go out in the courtyard and I want to go dig up where this spirit keeps bringing me to. So he did, and guess what they had? They found a skeleton with chains on it. So it haunts its own, and really what it comes down to is proper burial and grieving rituals that they go through after living a life of depravity and trying to reconnect with the living. And I'll tell you what, that's my approach to exorcism. And I'll tell you stories about what I have done dealing with different Debuks and how I have found tremendous success in healing people by healing the Debuk in them. And that gets creepy, doesn't it? That gives me chills.
Nathan Gillis, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to take a break at the top of the hour. Nathan Gillis, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up, we're going to hear some of these spooky, crazy exorcisms and demonic stories from our guest. Stay tuned. We're about to get freaked out.
Hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com. Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, the guys from Dark Poutine Podcast will join us for some Canadian mysteries. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Yes, Mr. Derek, tired of ramen on Twitter. There will be some woo tomorrow night. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and in Reedsport, Oregon, AM 1030 KDUN. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, will soon have a plethora of features for you. The Gavinator, setting it all up for us, doing very well. We thank him for his great job on the website. Tonight we are talking demons, demonology, exorcisms, and so much more. Our guest, Nathan Gillis, is a religious demonologist, and his website, njgillis.com, if you want to check him on out. Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Now, throughout the time that you have been studying demonology, when did you decide that you wanted to take on some cases to help people who were dealing with evil spirits?
I didn't. That's what's wild about it. During my research, I fell into the hands of two exorcists. Like I said, it was Isaac Lurie of the 13th century and then his student, Chaim Vital. And I was comparing their rites of exorcisms to the Catholic Church and those of the great Malachi Martin, of course, and all the other greats that they had. And I realized that they had a different approach to it. It wasn't just, the power of Christ compels you, throw holy water on them, and then, voila. And I say that respectively, obviously. The way Haim Vital and Isaac Luria would approach it was not just what your name is, but what gender are you, right? Because they believed, like as I do, that the myth of the fallen angel, it's a myth. As far as possession spirits, what we're dealing with is disincarnate spirits. And so what Haim Vital would do, I mean, oh my God, one night Haim Vital, and I'm not pig trailing, I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to tell you a story. But I have to preface that with this. Haim Vital was in bed one night, and he had a dream, and in the dream, a student of his that had died came to him and said, I'm going through something. I need to repent. And he said, I need help. He said, tomorrow I will come to you. So the next day, Haim Vital, gets ready, does some yard work, goes grocery shopping or whatever, and his whole day is gone. The sun's setting. He's at the dinner table eating, and then he's about to turn in for the night. He gets a knock on his door, and it's a mother with her handmaiden daughter. She was like 12 or 13. The daughter walks up and says, hello, Haim. I told you I would come to you. So, and of course, Haim then realized that in order to deliver the demoniac or the person possessed, you have to deal with the possessive spirit. And so the girl would repent, and the spirit in her that possessed her would repent. And so that's when he created the theory that was very well practiced, very much practiced, even through the 16th, 17th centuries. The theory was that if you heal the spirit in her, then you heal the person. And so what I did, I promise you, I had done the research, and I was working with a psychologist, and he was talking to me about some of the things that he was doing. And so one day I'm out to eat. This is wild, guys. So I'm out to eat, and I go outside, and I'm sitting outside. It was summertime, sitting there, and my friends know what I do. They know what I do. And so next thing I know, I look up, and I'm at the patio furniture. I'm on the patio furniture sitting down by a fire, and I look up, and I see this random stranger right in front of me with her boyfriend. And my buddy, I said, Josh, who are these guys? And they were like, well, I told him what you do, and the girl wants to come and talk to you. So I said, okay. So the girl opens up her mouth and says, you know what, we have my best friend has a haunted house, and her stepdad ran out of the house screaming. He was being chased by something, and he died out in the lawn. And she goes, I need your help. So while I'm talking to her, I have a tremendous feeling. I said, now I think that you're not here. I said, obviously that's a very traumatic event. I would love to help you. Perhaps we can go do a cleansing or do an investigation. We can do whatever you want as far as that goes. I said, but you're not here for that. I think you think you're here for that. I said, but there is an attachment on you, and it's an attachment of suicide. When I said that, Dave, tears started streaming down her face. And so I looked at her and I said, we can talk about whatever you want. I said, but I just feel that there's an attachment of suicide on you. I said, who in your family has committed suicide? She said, my grandfather did last year. I said, okay. And so then she reached her arm out, and I promise you, she was shaking, and she said, here, put your hand on my... I feel like there... She said, this time last year, I attempted suicide myself. So what happened was, she was attracted, her pain and trauma was attracted to me in ways that she did not even understand. And so while I'm talking to her, I knew the attachment wasn't some horn and hoof demon. The attachment was her disincarnate grandfather, who was grieving over the suicide that he had committed. And William James, in his book, The Varieties of the Religious Experience, he would call this phenomenon twice-born character. And so I asked her, I said, I'm just going to tell you, and I went down the list, and it was crazy accurate. And I said, for one thing, I said, you're dealing with emotions that are not your own. I said, you feel like you're coming in and out of them. Some days you're good, some days you're bad. But recently, I said, you're dealing with emotions that are not yours. And so what I did was I began to converse with her grandfather. And in dealing with his emotions and helping him grieve over the decision that he made, I began to help her. And by the time we were done, she was bawling her eyes out. By the time we were done, that attachment left her. The heaviness had left her. Now, what I'm doing is not a new form of exorcism. This is what they did in antiquity. Hayim Vital, that's exactly how they would heal people. And this is fascinating too. So the question could be asked, well, what kind of spirits possess people? Okay. In between the centuries, between the 13th and the 18th centuries, these exorcists compiled, or what they called a compendium, of their research, and then how they would categorize and record the entities that they were coming into contact with. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. Most of the possession spirits that they encountered, the debooks, the people who've lived and died, and for whatever reason have possessed a living person, they said that most of the spirits they encountered they all fall under certain categories. Now, for all the paranormal researchers and ghost hunters out there, you'll understand where I'm going and how this validates your research. This is powerful stuff, guys, powerful stuff. Number one, if you're a possession spirit, a debook, an incubus, succubus, most likely you died of suicide. And they would have different rites and prayers and different ways of dealing with people who've committed suicide. If they possess someone, they would have a certain way to handle them. It's fascinating. Then there were people who maybe died in an accident. Their life was cut short. And so now they're coming back through either a mourning ritual or grieving or trying to connect with a loved one and say, hey, of you. And then so you have the person who committed suicide and the person that maybe had died, like in modernity, it would be like somebody getting a car wreck, or somebody who accidentally drowned. And then they had someone who was murdered. And they would encounter these people a lot of times. And then they would have their certain ways of helping these entities get over some of the trauma that they experienced when they left life. Now, remember earlier in the interview when I said that it's very important that we researchers come together and create. I'm not talking about creating a new language, but different terminologies to help us understand and navigate what it is we're dealing with. And so that's why when I approach an exorcism, I do value the holy water and the cross and everything. But it's like Father Sinastri said, there are some of these spirits that don't even believe in God. What do you do then? You understand? So what we're dealing with is postmortem psychology. And that is how the exorcists, in biblical antiquity, after the 1st century to the 18th, that's how they dealt with demoniacs. It wasn't, okay, get out of here, I'm going to send you back to hell. It was never that. It was always, what is your name? That's not where we stop. That's where we begin. What is your name? What's your gender? Tell me your story. What is your purpose in possessing this person? And so that's what I do. And I've had tremendous success. And like I said, when that grandfather came through, it came through her emotions, and it began to put himself on her. Now, Dave, I don't know if you got that picture. I emailed you the debook.
Yes, I
don't
do.
know did you get it? Okay. take a look at that. Now, folks, you might put it on a website. If not, I'll put it on mine. But what we have here, the Dibuk, as far as the pictorial tradition, is a man walking with a staff, and he has a dead person on top of him, right? He's carrying that second person. Now, that's why in possessions, a lot of these possessions, what we're fighting are alien emotions that are not the possessed person's emotions. It's like I said, William James would call this a twice-born character. Now, let me tell you where all this originated. Okay, sure. In the first century Rome, one of the ways that they would treat and discipline a murderer was they would take the guilty party, the murderer, they would take the victim, the innocent victim, and they would take the body, strap the body onto the man, the murderer, and the murderer would have to suffer the decomp. I know this gets crazy. The decomp from the dead man, the innocent murdered person, would infect the murderer to the point where the murderer dies almost virtually by his own hand. And so when you look at that picture, guys, that's where one of the only pictorial traditions of the Dibuk we have is, guess what? You have a man who's carrying the body of another man on his shoulders. And so that is where we get the... telling Dave this earlier, guys, all you listeners out there, check this out. Prior to the first century, we did not have a Hebrew word in Judaism for a possession. Didn't have it. Now, it wasn't until the 13th century that we start having a working functional term for a demonic possession in Judaism. And guess what it wasn't? It wasn't the demonic, quote-unquote, demonic possession that we've been taught it was through Greek mythology. It was a simple word. It was the word Dibuk. So even the word itself invokes the reality of their belief system. It wasn't horns and hooves or fallen angels. These are real living people who've lived and died, but they're post-mortem. And they're dealing with what I call grieving and mourning rituals. And this is where the research should be, and this is where I believe it is. It's high time that we start to research the ways to heal the souls who've departed and help them get through their journey. It's not an accident that there was a case, I believe it was with Chip Coffey, the great Chip Coffey, where they had a spirit who was haunting a house, and through an EVP, he asks them, I need help, and is Chip coming? They had no idea that Chip was on the highway coming to that very house. It's not an accident. The problem is this, and I'm just going to say this. Our first mistake was making God into a man. Our second greatest mistake was making men into demons.
That's a pretty profound statement.
They are. It is a very profound statement. When we walk into it, I mean, look at this. Okay, we haven't even talked about this. Let's go to the book of Matthew.
We got about 4.5 minutes.
Okay, before we're done or before the next break?
Before the break.
Okay, good. Well, all right, let's go to the Apocalypse of Ezra. I'll set it up like this. Apocalypse of Ezra is an apocryphal writing. It wasn't in our 1611 King James Version Bible, but it was written 200 years before the birth of Christ, before the birth of Jesus Christ. It's the prophet Ezra. The prophet Ezra goes to God and says, listen, you've trusted me with everything else. I want to know what happens to an evil man when he dies. Yahweh, God, tells the prophet Ezra, he says, when an evil man dies, he leaves his body, he goes around wandering, and when he finds no rest, he grieves. And he grieves in 7 ways. Why does he grieve in 7 ways, Yahweh? He tells Ezra, because he sees what he could have done, could have been in his life, right? And he looks and sees that he will have no habitation. Now, readers and theologians and listeners, remember, he grieves in 7 ways, He grieves in 7 ways because of what he watches. Now, Dave, this next period, we'll go into the watchers. And again, how I believe we're not dealing with fallen angels. It's going to be good, buddy. I can't wait.
Well, we got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes before we got to go to break, so we got to keep talking here. In regards to the exorcisms and the demons that are running around,
yes.
What brings them on? What brings them towards people? Do they just, are you walking down the street and all of a sudden a demon sees you out of the, out of the alleyway and says, "Oh, there looks like someone I can hook onto"? Is that how it works?
There's many different avenues. Now, your possession spirits are often attracted to emotions. If they're grieving, they will find someone who's grieving in the same way. For instance, like if you're dealing with suicide, there will be a spirit. Again, let me just say this. In Christianity, I don't have a picture on it, but in Christianity, I was taught that we fight the spirit of suicide. That's not true, guys. We got to, like I said, we got to change our terminologies to fit the phenomenon. We're not fighting the spirit of suicide. We're fighting the spirit of someone who committed suicide. We're not people aren't possessed with the spirit of murder. We're possessed with people with spirits who've committed murder. And so remember, the debuk, it'll lay on top of you. In other words, you'll do what it did. And so as far as avenues, yes, it could be attracted to your situation. It could remind you of somebody, like in the case of the St. Peter haunting with Dr. Barry Taft and Jeff Wheatcraft when they did the Ouija board and said, "Why did you attack Jeff? Because you're in the likeness of the man who murdered me." I mean, they have their own value systems. And again, when we understand what they value, that's what I think also we have a problem with. We're going in there and we're cursing them and doing all these fancy things, but we've never asked the question that the ancients did. What do they value? What do they believe in? Because it's not, the exorcism way of throwing holy water and casting them out. That's not a one-size-fits-all right. It's like Father Sinastri said. Sometimes these guys don't even believe in it. So the research has to answer for that. I have to answer for that. What is it that we do now? And that's why I'm going to harp on it, but we have to get into the psychology of the postmortem. We can heal people in real life. They go through a traumatic event. We can help them. Now we have to go a step further and say, how can we help people on the other side through mediumship or whatever it is that we have to do? And we can get into mediumship too. So I was taught that was all wrong, and that's not true at all. There's a lot.
Well, the one thing I always say about the Bible is this: you can't have psychics without prophets.
No doubt.
Prophets or psychics.
You said it all right there.
There's no difference whatsoever. Nathan, I'm going to get you to hold on here. And I know the audience questions in the chat rooms are piling up. We're going to try and get to some of those, maybe a few more. After the break here on Spaced Out Radio, Nathan Gillis, demonology, demons, the occult. We're getting into it all tonight. Stay tuned for more Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you from SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for spending your night with us. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our archives for free. Oh my goodness, I said out. That is so Canadian. I said out. Check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. The Gavinator's getting ready to put a few new features on there in the next few days, so stay tuned. Check our website often. Tonight we are talking with Nathan Gillis. He's a religious demonologist looking into the history of demons and the evil that is out there. His website, njgillis.com. Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
I'd like to get in some audience questions here. And we're going to start off with Uncle Dale. We never know if it's Uncle Dale in the chat room at the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, or if it's his mustache that's asking the question, because he's got one of those power blades. Anyways, he is asking, are demons essentially free agents, or are there thrones, powers, and authorities? Who's at the top of the food chain?
Okay. Who's at the top of the food chain? It's a very big question. It's broad because you'll have one spirit with multiple different names. Like I said before, when dealing with these subjects, I am doing my best to employ different terminologies so that we can discuss these things and have our own thesaurus. Number one is I call these demons independent entities. The reason I call them independent entities is because they have yet to be gathered by their family or to their ancestors, like the Bible says. That's what I say, independent entities. Are there powers? Absolutely, there are powers. But again, I do not believe these are angels that have fallen. I believe that's what I've been taught, and that's fine. But we have to understand that when a person dies, they change, they translate into something different. I'm not saying that like they don't have the same interests and inherit what they've done in the past. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they're not physical. In other words, they're spiritual. They have the ability to know things, to see into the future and all of these things. So it's a very good question. I mean, I can tell you what the Bible says who's at top. I mean, you got Lucifer and what's in Hasatan. But I don't buy into that theology. I mean, I think there's a lot into it that's valuable, but I believe that just as we use the word demon as a functional migratory word and slapped on it everything preternatural, I think we've done the same thing with the angelic dimension as well. And I hope that answers your question. If not, you can hit me up on my website and I'll be sure to help.
All right, let's get to another question here from our audience. Sharon is asking, holy water is not for everyone. not everyone should use it, right? Could it be more harmful than helpful when used wrong?
No. I'll tell you why. It's like, okay, Malachi Martin, in his book, Hostage to the Devil, he would talk about different cases and everything. One of the cases he would talk about is how that they can tell the difference between Dasani water and blessed water. Now, that's not everybody, obviously. And that leads me into my next point that I'll get into here in a second if I can. I think that what happens is when a person dies, that when they're disincarnate, they still have the same belief system that they had in life. I'll prove it to you. If you go right now to Iraq and you try to go in there and try to cast people out in the name of Jesus, 90% of the time it won't happen. Why? Because they have, the Muslims, the Islamia has their own exorcists, and they have their own rites and their own rituals. Why? Because you're not dealing with demons as far as horns and hooves that have one, one constitution. You know, I fear this person, and we all fear that person, and we all believe this one set of things. It's not true. See, that's the problem with demonology. We have Muslim exorcists, we have Catholic exorcists, we have Jewish exorcists. Are there Jewish demons, Muslim demons, and Catholic demons? No. But
what about the jinn? What about the jinn?
What about the jinn? You're right. Now watch this. Again, this is what I'm saying. We have to strip a lot of this stuff. We have to strip it of legend and lore and look at it for what it is. Okay, if you go to a Muslim cleric and say, hey, listen, man, what is a jinnah? A friend of mine's a linguist, an Arabic linguist, and he corrected me. I kept calling him jinn. He said it's jinnah. I was like, okay, whatever. But it's jinn. So, what's a jinnah? Watch how closely this mirrors people who've lived and died. Watch this. There are Muslim jinnah. There are atheist jinnah. Come on now. Right? No, he's dealing with belief systems that are limited to humanity. Incredible. Now, watch this. He says they have jobs. I mean, they have jobs, and they can procreate. They're married. No. What you have are people who've been married, right? Who've had kids, who have their own belief system, who've lived and died, and bam, now they're possession spirits. It's overlapping. All the three Abrahamic religions overlap in their demonology in ways that cannot be explained outside of knowing that we're not talking about horns and hooves and the Greek mythological version of the demon. We're talking about people who've lived and died who are just like us. Now, I'd like to answer some more questions. That's fine. But I would like to get into talking sometime about what the Watchers are and how they rank as far as more powerful.
Well, let's get into it right now before we get to any more audience questions. What are the Watchers?
Okay. Now, if you go to a rabbi and said, what is a watcher? They would say that is a type of angel that God gave humanity to watch over them. That was the organic definition and description of a watcher angel. Now, remember how, like I said, all of these descriptions, they all layer each other, and they literally look like we're not dealing with angels at all. We're dealing with people. So much so that when you ask a rabbi, they'll tell you these watchers are the closest to humanity without being human as possible. These are the people that went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, guess what? They were men. Flesh. They ate fish with Lot. So these are the watchers according to Jewish antiquity. But the book of Daniel, let's go to the book of Daniel. It was written in Aramaic. It was not written in Hebrew. The book of Daniel in the King James Version Bible uses the Aramaic word Urin. And that's where we get the interpretation of watchers. Now, that's a mistranslation. That's vital. It's a mistranslation. Remember how I said demons are not what they do?
Yes.
paramount. It's not what they do. I mean, they do that, but that doesn't make them who they are. It's a role they play because they're interested in something. So, watchers are not watchers because they watch. Again, someone along the lines fell into that heretical way of approaching demonology and said, oh, they watch, therefore they're watchers, right? That's just kind of amateurish in my mind. No disrespect or anything, but it's just Ned, the first reader, to me. Like, okay. Well, the problem is the mistranslation comes in this. They don't watch because they watch. They're not watchers because they watch. The Aramaic word for watchers means the wakeful. In other words, those who are awake. Now, in order to understand that reference, we have to go back to the Apocalypse of Ezra. So all the listeners, remember how I told you we have the watchers who, these disincarnate spirits, when Ezra asks God what happens to an evil man when he dies, he says when an evil man dies, he comes out of his body, he grieves, number one. He grieves because of what he sees. Right? He's watching. That's what he's doing, right? Yeah, he's watching. He even uses the same word. He watches how his life unfolded, how it could have went. He watches other people ascend to a habitation. And because of what he sees, oh my God, he grieves in 7 ways. Now, that is a watcher. I'll prove it to you. This is fascinating stuff. He grieves, the disincarnate evil man grieves because of what he sees. And what he sees is based upon what he's watching. Now, let's take that context, that understanding, and let's go to Matthew chapter 12.
All right.
Now this gets interesting, okay? Ooh, EBGBs. So we have Jesus Christ, Yeshua, they called him Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, is being approached. He just cast the devil out, so somebody, which is a disincarnate spirit. He cast him out. And they ask him, and they said, what beeth this? What's going on? And guess what he quotes, Dave?
What's that?
He quotes Ezra. That's how we know it ain't a devil, bud. That's how we know it's not a fallen angel. It's in terms of what we've been taught. He quotes Ezra. Watch this. He says, when an unclean spirit. Now, for all the listeners out there, you remember when I anchored David when he said these demons have no breath? Remember when I went linguistically down the line and said that ruach means to inhale through the nostrils, right? Well, guess what the new term for demons are in the New Testament? Unclean spirit. Literally in Hebrew, ura, ara. And ara is ruah. In other words, it's an unclean spirit who has breathed in life through his nostrils. That's not a demon. That's not a fallen angel, Dave. That's a man. That's a man who's lived and died. How do we know it? Forget the linguistics, okay? We can prove it that way, and I just did. Let's go to Jesus. What did he say? When an unclean spirit goeth out of a man. See, we've always thought that means it's a demon-possessed man. That's not true. He's quoting Ezra, the post-mortem, what's called the post-mortem eschatology of an evil man. When an unclean spirit goeth out of a man, he dies. Boom. He leaves his body. Watch. He goes around seeking rest. Why? He's dead. He's disincarnate. Now, rest was always to be believed. It was always used as sleep. Always. Okay? So she's not dead. She's sleeping. Or he's not dead. He's asleep. And one of the things that God told Ezra about these watchers, he said they watch over the dead, both the good and the bad. And the dead that they're watching over are asleep. So now we know why, instead of saying that they're watchers, the Aramaic said that these are the awake ones. Oh, God. An awake one is simply someone who's died, and he can't find rest. So while others rest, he watches and he is awake. Let's go to Matthew again. When an unclean spirit goeth out of a man, he goes around wandering, seeking rest. He's seeking a habitation. Now, for all the theologians out there, I've heard it taught all my life this way, and it's jacked up. It's wrong. It's hellacious. It's lazy theology. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying. Number one, this is not a demoniac. I'll prove it to you. He goeth around seeking rest. When he findeth none, he doesn't say, I'm going to go back to the man. No. He says, I will go back to my house from which I left. Wait a minute. Because if the whole text is about a demoniac, of course he would say, right, I would go back to the man that I just left. No. He's telling you something. I died. I left my body. I don't have a habitation anymore, right? I'm a watcher. You understand? I can't sleep. I can't rest. I'm forced to watch. And so he thinks in his mind, and God, in Yeshua, Jesus telling us the psychology of the soul here, of an evil man.
All right.
He says, I'll go back to my house from whence I came. Then he goes back to the house, and the linguistics, very interesting here. It says he finds the house cleaned, swept, and decorated. That's not a body. Forget demonic possession. This is not a possession case.
Okay.
He went back to his house, Dave, and someone else is living in it.
All right, we're going to get to more audience questions here. We got about 5 minutes before we go to break. Nathan Gillis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to Michelle on Twitter. She says, Nathan, you say that most possessions are dead coming back. What about real demons? What can be done about them?
What are real demons? Again, I don't... You would... Again... I am not convinced. I'm going to put it like this. We are so unknowing of what the afterlife consists of as far as the condition and the power of a real evil person. What I think is happening is not that we have demons impersonating dead people. I think we have dead people impersonating demons. And that's a very profound thought. And so that's why I would say, what is a real demon to us? Is it somebody who has died an evil man? I mean, let's pull up when the Witch of Endor pulled up Samuel. Samuel never went to the judgment, guys, right? The judgment hasn't happened yet. But the Bible says that he was an Elohim. In other words, he wasn't Samuel anymore. He was Samuel 2.0. So it's very possible that what we have classified as demonic, it smells, it growls, it tells me all this stuff. It's very possible that what we're dealing with is just an evil, disincarnate spirit that is powerful and transcends the microcosm of being just a regular spirit that, is trying to get their stuff together. And that would be my answer to that. And there are ways to deal with that. If it is, so yes.
All right, let's move on to another question here because I want to try and get a bunch of these in. Mm-hmm. I now got to scroll down here. Adder wants to know, how do you get all of this information?
Oh God, well, I read a lot. My books. I'm not going to quote, who was it? Anchorman, Ron Burgundy. I have many leather-bound books. No, I do.
Oh,
I read a lot.
You're allowed here.
Okay, cool. Little side note with Anchorman. No, I mean, I read a lot, and I read old books. I have a publisher who all they do is they go around the world, and they take books that are in different languages, and they translate them into English. And, I mean, they're more expensive than your regular book, but oh, my God, That's like me. I can't learn 100 languages, but I can use one language to read all the others. And if you want to get in contact with me about that, I'll shoot you a note and let you know where I go to get them. But I read constantly. I read anything and everything I get my hands on. I do not limit myself to certain traditions. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm a big fan of, come on. Art Bell, obviously, Malachi Martin, Barry Taft, Lloyd Auerbach, just anything I get my hands on, guys. And, it's just a passion of mine. It really is.
All right. I got to find another question here so that way we can sneak it on in here. PBR wants to know about the name of the demon you feel is possessing you since childhood.
Possessing me since childhood. What?
Yeah. Well, earlier on in the show, you had mentioned that there was a demon or a spirit attached to you.
Oh, yeah. It was never possession. It would try to. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I got you now. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. I didn't know the name. I never got the name. I know that there was a time when everything came to a head, guys. And it was after the shadow figure. It was after waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that little blob, that cloud in the corner, that I just sat down and I said, you know what, God, I don't know what this is. I mean, I didn't have anybody to go to, man. I really didn't. And I was tired of crying in my sleep, tired of nightmares. And it was singling me out, it was grooming me. Like I mentioned before, it was grooming me. It was separating me from my family. And I was writing suicide poetry. I know it's a suicide entity. I know that. But I just said, you know what? I don't know what this is, God. I have no idea. No idea. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And I promise you, it's wild. As soon as I said that, it left. And I apologize for not remembering that. But yes, absolutely. I don't believe it possessed me. I believe it wanted to. But I never got the name of it. I never had to get to that level of warfare. And that led me into my research. And what I'm still dealing with to this day is the difference between what I thought was, an almost possession. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was an entity who had committed suicide. And what I was doing was confusing its fear with mine. And that's where my research is. Again, I wasn't fighting the spirit of suicide. I had an attachment of someone who committed suicide.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Nathan Gillis, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. We got 2 hours down. We got another half hour with Nathan Gillis. I'm going to try and get as many of your questions in the chat rooms into Nathan tonight. So if I accidentally miss one, I'm not censoring you. I just didn't have time. Bear with us. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. a spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to all of you around the world, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I invite you to stick around spacedoutradio.com for Saturday and Sunday nights where I host Spaced Out Weekend. Let me take you on a wild ride of weird and strange topics from ghosts and ETs to remote viewing, psychic phenomena, and so much more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time on Spaced Out Weekend, where we own the night.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, the guys from Dark Poutine podcast up here in Canada are going to tell us about some weird, strange Canadian mysteries. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our affiliates at WQEE 99.1 FM in Union, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, we're glad to be a part of the Revolution Radio family. Thank you so much for tuning us in. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We are currently in the process of creating some new pages on there, so please stay tuned. The work continues for the Gavinator, but we're up and running. You can listen to the show and catch up on all your SOR news right there. For the final time tonight, we introduce Nathan Gillis. He is a religious demonologist, and we've been going through demonology all night. His website, njgillis.com. Nathan, thank you so much for being with us. And right before the break, you were getting into a little bit of how these spirits and demons come across, and you wanted to continue that story.
Yes, absolutely. I think I was quoting, it might have been Matthew, but my point is this, guys. Like I said, we have to use different terminologies to describe these things. The independent entity is your malevolent spirit. The reason I call it an independent entity is because it has not yet been gathered to its ancestors. Now, what do I mean by that? Throughout the entire Bible, as a matter of fact, there's a Hebrew scholar. His name is Nahum Sarna. He did a commentary on Genesis, and in it he discovered something that was glaringly obvious to those, if you know what you're looking for. I didn't know what I was looking for, and he told me, he's like, look, he actually had a book of his, and he said it, and I was like, oh my God. He goes through it, and he says, okay, listen, when you die, you are gathered to your ancestors, period. It happens to everybody. Now, that's not just supported by parapsychology, okay? It's also supported by the Holy Writ. When your patriarchs, the Hebrew patriarchs, died, when Jacob was dying, he was getting sick, was told his family, he said, listen, I'm about to die. I'm about to be gathered unto my ancestors. Now, who did the gathering? The people that did the gathering were the Watchers. This is very interesting. So, we go through the patriarchs, and so they would use language, and they would say, okay, this man died, and he was gathered with his fathers or gathered to his ancestors. Well, the problem is we have Abraham, Jacob, and Moses. All of them were said to be gathered to their ancestors, but a great deal of these patriarchs were never buried with their ancestors. So there's a book out there. Somebody asked me how I know all this stuff. Well, I read. And one of the books that I read was The Jewish Views of the Afterlife, where Nahum Starner writes about this. And what they said was the scholars believe this to be this terminology of being gathered with his ancestors or gathered with. They believe that to be what's called the post-mortem position of a good man or a good woman. That is when you die and you go to your ancestors with your ancestors, like a family reunion. And so they believe that this was not an act of burial because you have patriarchs who, it was said of them that they were gathered with their ancestors, but they were never buried with them. And so it was believed that this was not talking about the burial rite or practices, but it was an actual mentioning of the afterlife. So that's why when someone says, okay, what do you do with the demon? Well, what we're dealing with in a demon is someone who is an independent entity. They have not crossed over. They have not been gathered unto their ancestors. Now, there's a reason why they have not been gathered. And so there's different things we could talk about, burning sage and white sage and scents and all that stuff, but maybe later on. So my point is, that's how we deal with them. Why is it that you're not gathered yet? Are you guilty? Did you commit suicide? Are you struggling with the burial of your body? Are you not happy with it? Are you grieving over something or someone? Or do you have a message? All of these things come into play. And hopefully that gives some clarity to that question.
All right. We're going to get to some audience questions now. Tanya is asking, what if a person is possessed by a spirit that is older than the Judeo-Christian religion?
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. I mean, how
do you deal with it? How do you deal with it?
Okay, first of all, it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what it values. Always. So you find out what it values. If it's a disincarnate spirit, it's obviously there for a reason. And I will say you have to figure out what they value. To answer your question as simply as possible. It doesn't matter what I believe, doesn't matter what we believe. It matters what it believes. What does it fear? What does it believe in? What will motivate it? What is it after? That's why the exorcists of antiquity would always have a dialogue. It wasn't just the simple get out. It was, what are you doing? Why are you here? And then through interrogating it, then they got what it believed in and what it valued. And again, if we don't do that, here's what's going to happen. We're going to be treating someone who committed suicide the wrong way and then having an unsuccessful exorcism or an unsuccessful cleansing because we simply don't know what it values. I hope that makes sense.
All right. Let's move on here in regards to the questions. Robin is asking, how can you tell if someone is possessed or they're just suffering from mental illness?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how to answer that unless without employing the Catholic tradition, which was get them some help and see what's going on. If someone is possessed and it is a malevolent possession, it will not simply be behavioral changes. In the 13th century, or actually the 16th century, which they called the age of the demoniac, is when they started to record the scent of sulfur, the facial manipulation where the entity would actually contort the image of the person. Their voices. You don't have, languages, for instance. If they know Latin especially, you got a problem. It's not just, I'm, bipolar, or I'm dealing with some kind of mental issue. There's something supernatural. an understanding of future events or past events. If you're talking to the person and they say, you know what, I understand this and this about you, and you've never told them, that's possession, or that's at the very least influence. What the entity is trying to do is prove to you that, number one, it's there, and that you're nobody. That's the psychology of a lot of these independent entities. And so those combined, sense, what do you smell around them? Do they manifest different voices, a knowledge of languages they shouldn't know, a knowledge of events that you never told them? Then, and all of this goes way beyond just a mental state. It's an actual preternatural personality that manifests in those ways. I hope that helps.
All right. Moving on here, Sharon is asking, how does your demonology differ from, say, someone who takes an online course for demonology? Is there a code of ethics that needs to be followed in your practice, or do others need to follow these ethics when dealing with lower entities and demons?
Oh, what are ethics? I mean, we're dealing with the preternatural. What's the preternatural ethic? That's my question. Very good question. Very, very germane question. Number one, I don't do online colleges. I don't do online schooling. I don't. I'm not knocking it. What I differ as far as what I know versus anything, I don't know, online, look them up. See if they mention Father Sinastri. See if it isn't just a handful of ideas that works sometimes, and then we don't know why they work. I'm not an armchair demonologist. I don't, I don't, there's not really a demonology degree out there. And even if you went to Union, which one of my heroes goes to, it's very difficult, especially in the States. But preternatural ethics, what's ethical concerning a demon? That's my question, and I would like to hear that. I mean, that'd be a very good question.
All right.
Yeah.
Follow-up question from Sharon. Do you believe that we are in the multiverse and can produce things from our thoughts and emotions, such as manifesting a demon or shadow person through our thoughts of fear, of terror?
Yes, I do believe that, but I don't believe in the multiverse theory. And I'm going to tell you why. That's a very popular theory that has been propagated by people who have great minds, no doubt. The problem is that if we buy into the philosophy that all things are possible, and if it's possible, it exists in every universe, well, there's going to be a possibility in one universe where there is no multiverse, right? And if that's possible, that there's no multiverse and that actually exists, then the whole argument falls apart. I hope that makes sense. So, yes, the astral projection of us, the concept. See, Carl Jung put that into existence. Talk about the shadow and how that is the negative anti-presence that we live with. Do I believe that we can create? I don't. I believe that we can manifest, and there's a difference. I believe that there are entities that are attracted to us that will use us to manifest, not necessarily if I do A, B, and C, then something's going to happen. It's not our power, you understand. We aren't the creator of it. We are the battery, if that makes sense. So it's not us using it, it's them using us. And that's why when you're dealing with negative emotions, that especially with addiction, Malachi Martin was one of the people to come out with that very first exorcist, especially with addiction. They will use that to influence and manipulate. Oh.
All right. Let's get to Uncle Dale's question here. And he is saying, are there any fallen angels in the world today prowling back and forth in the world seeking to kill, rob, and destroy?
Your adversary is as a roaring lion going about seeking who it may devour. What is our adversary? See, here's the problem. If you look at what these so-called devils value, It's petty stuff. It's stuff that we would value, guys. It's not, I mean, other than some of the signs that they'll carve in walls that we don't understand yet, they all have human interests. Look at the incubus and succubus. You think, I mean, here's my question. Do we really think that these fallen angels are going around like, man, checking people out? Yeah, like, oh man, I ain't got nothing better to do. That girl's kind of cute. No. Everything, the problem with the demonology that I inherited from Christianity was that everything reeked of humanity. It had no preternatural implications. None. Even the Nephilim. Look what they wanted to do. They wanted to go marry women, have kids. None of this speaks to something that transcends the microcosm of the mortal. It is all within the dimensionality of this world. We have references. It's not out of, like, we have ways of understanding and interpreting this information that doesn't have to include some mystical, esoteric projection of what we think it is. But yeah, we do have adversaries. Doesn't mean they're necessarily fallen angels. Good question.
We only got about 7.5 minutes left with you tonight. And in regards to exorcisms from today compared to yesteryear, okay, back in the day when the church was more prevalent in family and everyday life compared to today where the church has lost a lot of people, is there a difference in the way exorcisms are performed?
Yes. In the 13th century, we got into Kabbalistic Judaism. You had Luria, you had VATAL. First century, where the Christian church began, because I grew up in Pentecostalism, so we were taught that it began in Acts 2:38. In the first century, their exorcisms, here's something. I didn't even mention this. I forgot about this. Okay, you got first century, one of the only secular historians, Josephus, wrote a book in the Antiquities of the Jews. He describes in the first century how he witnessed an exorcist named Eleazar. And he said that, this is how when their demonology changes, and I'll answer your question with this. He said that Eleazar wrapped a clove of garlic on his finger and then laid hands on the woman who was possessed of a devil. Now, he laid his hand with the garlic, the finger over her nose. Remember? If you guys followed the whole interview, watch. Remember how I told you about the Ura, the unclean spirit, how it inhales through the nose? Now, that's what he did. And she inhaled. And when she inhaled, that spirit inhaled and left her. So, absolutely. That's how they exorcise their demons. Nowadays, in the religion that I grew up in, it was simply, go. I'm going to lay hands on you and pray. And if that doesn't work, we'll find a reason why. Maybe, it wasn't your time. And I'll tell you the difference. Here's the biggest difference, guys. Here's the biggest difference. There's no exorcist in antiquity that exorcised the demon by saying go, G-O, go. It was always get, G-E-T. For instance, when Yeshua was in the New Testament, he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." That word "get" to us, it's an English word that comes from the Hebrew word get, and get it means to divorce. So, in other words, when the exorcists today, they'll just simply say, okay, go, and if it doesn't work, whatever. The exorcists of antiquity will say, you are an unwanted being and you're loitering. It's back in Matthew. I didn't get to talk about Matthew when Jesus was telling him. He went back to the spirit, went back to his house, right? And then the Bible says that he when he realizes that someone else is in the house, He goes out and he takes with him, he's quoting Ezra, 7 other spirits, right? It's what Ezra said. He's grieving in 7 ways. Now, that's a mistranslation when it says takes with him. That's the Greek word paralambano. Here's the kicker. Paralambano does not mean I'm going to take 7 other individual spirits and they're going to accompany me. No, it means to inherit. It means to take upon oneself through the act of inheritance. What is he inheriting? He lived a bad life, he died, and then after death, he inherits all of the stages of grieving that Ezra says. So, understanding all of that, we land right now in modernity, where we have the church and we have the different traditions and the holy water, the cross. My question that I would leave everyone with is this. What do we do when that's not enough? What do we do? And right now there's a schism in the Catholic Church because you have a lot of people, especially in Rome, a lot of exorcists in Rome who are realizing slowly but surely that maybe we're not really dealing with fallen angels. I mean, a lot of these, if you listen to the demons, I mean, come on. We had a demon who, according to a pamphlet that the Catholic Church gives all the exorcists, it's called Be Gone Satan, and it was about a demoniac case in 1930. I think it was in Iowa, and the priest made alleged mistake of talking to the demon, and he asked the demon, if God were to forgive you right now, would you ask for forgiveness? And the demon just responded, are you a competent theologian? That's not an answer. It was a question. So what they did is they hopped on that and basically said, see, this is what they believe. That didn't tell us what they believe. That just says that he knows what you believe. And so that's what I'm doing. What I had to do, I had to humble myself, take everything that I was taught, throw it away. No disrespect, but I had to start with a clean slate, Dave, and say, I know that what I experienced was real. Where do we go from here? And if you're listening to this, to this tonight, and you're in church and you're in a religion, and you're experiencing something like I experienced, I want you to know that you are loved, you're valued, do not feel disenfranchised, do not feel abandoned. I'm not going to discount, nor should anybody else discount your experiences. And I want you to know, and I do this every radio program I do, I want you to know that we value you and that there are answers in the Bible for what you're experiencing and that you are not alone. You are not alone. And I just can't stress that enough. We have so many people who are hurting. Good.
Yeah. We're down to our last 20 seconds here, Nathan, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on Spaced Out Radio tonight. I had a lot of fun. Learned a lot from you tonight.
Me too,
I hope our audience did too, my friend. Oh, what a pleasure. Quick shout out for your website, njgillis.com is the website. And you know what? We'll do this again later on in the year. We'll try to.
Oh, I'm excited. Sure. Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to take things home. We got the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave coming up. Stick around. Have a good night.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. to SOR Space Travelers only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR HQ. Hanging out with all of you tonight. Reminder that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. The Gavidators, building some new pages on that. It is a work in progress, but it is up and running. So check it on out. Check in many a times because we're going to have some new features coming soon. Let's get to the weird, the wild, the wacky, the WTF, the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, as Captain Shirk is scouring the world for the wild news that she can find. And tonight we're going to start off in London, where Katie Jones sure seemed to be plugged into Washington's political scene. The beautiful 30-something redhead boasted a job at a top think tank and who's who network of pundits and experts. Well, the problem is, Katie Jones doesn't exist. No. Fake sites on LinkedIn. Wow, who would have thought? Apparently, there are thousands of phantom profiles lurking, checking out people. Yes, checking out people. And Mario Klingman, a German artist who has been experimenting for years with artificially generated portraits, says he has reviewed tens of thousands of such images from sites like LinkedIn, and they have all the hallmarks of being AI, including the lovely and talented Katie Jones, who doesn't exist. Now, people are looking into this. Denmark-based think tank, Alliance of Democracies Foundation, Jonas Perello Plesner, says it smells a lot like some sort of state-run operation. Instead of dispatching spies to some parking garage in the U.S. to recruit a target, it's more efficient to sit behind a computer in Shanghai and send out friend requests to 30,000 targets, he wrote. Last month, retired CIA officer Kevin Mallory was sentenced to 20 years in prison for passing details of top-secret operations to Beijing, a relationship that began when a Chinese agent posing as a recruiter contacted him on LinkedIn. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, really watch who you're adding. Check them on out. I don't know about this situation, but things are getting ugly again in the Middle East. 2 oil tankers were damaged in a suspected attack off the Gulf of Oman, prompting the rescue of dozens of crew members. The U.S. Navy's Bahrain-based Fifth Fleet said it was assisting 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman after receiving distress calls. Details of the incident were unclear, but one of the operators made an unconfirmed report that a torpedo had hit his ship. Yeah, this is scary. Scary. International Tanker Management, which operates one of the ships, said an explosion had caused a fire on board. Well, no kidding. It's filled with oil. That's what we need to do, is pollute the oceans even more. Its 23 crew members were evacuated by the nearby South Korean-based Hyundai Dubai vessel. They are now safe. Iran's Islamic Republic news agency claimed the Front Altair had sunk, but the Norwegian shipping firm Frontline said it was still afloat. Oh, man. Things are heating up there. Again. Totally again. We're going to have to monitor that. Here's an interesting story. Apollo 11 was the first mission to land people on the lunar surface, but Apollo relied on a lot of its predecessor missions to lay the groundwork for that successful landing on the moon. One of them was Apollo 10, the 4th crewed mission in the Apollo program. Now, Apollo 10 was an almost complete mission that included everything that Apollo 11 had, except for the actual landing on the moon. It was a dress rehearsal, so to speak. Well, apparently it even had an Apollo lunar module that was flown to within 15 miles of the surface. But that module never landed, and eventually, after it rendezvoused with the command module and the crew disembarked, it was sent into orbit around the sun. And up till now, nobody knew where it was. But now they're thinking they have found Snoopy, named after Charles Schultz's famous dog from the Peanuts comic strip. NASA thought that giving the lander and the command module names from the popular comic strip would help kids get interested in the mission. Snoopy was sent off to orbit the sun without another thought, and nobody ever thought about keeping track of it. Well, apparently in 2011, a group of amateur astronomers in the UK began looking for Snoopy. Hadn't found it, but now they're thinking they may have. This is where it gets interesting. A reporter on Sky News said that the team is almost certain they found it, or is 98% sure. They've beaten the 235 million to 1 odds in doing so. Better chance at winning the lottery or the Powerball. Now, where is it? Well, they're not really giving that one up yet. Don't know why. I guess they want to confirm it first. Hopefully, it'll be soon. It's kind of cool, though. Never play poker when you're in the tub, especially when you got your laptop plugged in, because the battery is probably dead. A Russian international online poker star, 26-year-old Lily Novikova, died of electrocution in her bathtub while playing poker. Her neighbor found Novikova's body in the bath after receiving an emergency call from Novikova's parents. Her poker fans knew her as Leah. Reports suggest that she suffered a fatal electric shock, while using a hairdryer. She wasn't playing poker. She was using a hairdryer in the flat where she lived with her parents. She was well known on Twitch, a live streaming channel for online gamers. Russia's investigative committee, SK, confirmed that she had been electrocuted. All the reports suggest that it was an accident. Novikova had an engineering degree from Moscow's prestigious Bauman University, and besides poker, she enjoyed various sports, including rowing and snowboarding. She also made some videos with top tips for poker fans. The internet had become a gold mine for people like her. And now at the age of 26, she is gone. Too bad. She was a real beauty, too. All right. How do you become a millionaire if you're not one? Well, if you're these 20 women, you go on a giant group date with an anonymous Mormon millionaire. This happened last week. Sign a non-disclosure agreement to prevent them from revealing his identity. The women were selected from a pool out of 2,500 applicants, went on a four-course cuisine dinner. Yeah, according to reports, the evening also included a PowerPoint presentation detailing the top 10 reasons he had enlisted the matchmaking agency, a group conversation, and a 5-minute mini-date with each woman. They arrived in a long black stretch limo. Finally, each participant was given a necklace by the billionaire, who the LDS matchmaking agency said was blown away by the quality of women. Yes, because, let's face it, apparently we farm women for dates like this. The competition was advertised last month by several huge billboards lining the Interstate 15 in Salt Lake, offering up the chance to win a date with the wealthy member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. LDS millionaire looking for his wife. Exclusive VIP event June 7th. The application included a drop-down menu for candidates to select their body type from slender, athletic, average, a few extra pounds, large, and petite. The women were also required to submit 2 photos and answer several questions, including, did you serve an LDS mission? Yes. Well, apparently it ended happy. Still don't know who won the competition just yet. But one of the women said, I'll throw this in there. I've met a lot of my goals that I have set for myself over the last few years, and the final one is to find that certain someone that I can spend the rest of my life with. But he has to be a millionaire. She didn't say that. I added that in. Ridiculous. According to the mystery man, between the age of 30 and 45, millionaire, over 6 feet tall and handsome. So right there, over 6 feet tall and handsome, you know it's not me. And because I turned 46 this year, I'm out of the age category as well. Son of a gun. New York Mets rookie pitcher Pete Alonso confirms he saw weird stuff when playing baseball in Vegas. This was after he was asked a question about aliens. Yeah, weird. Before he was called up to the big leagues, Alonso spent part of the 2018 season with the AAA Las Vegas 51s. The name of the team was a nod to Area 51, of course, where spaceships are rumored to be stored. So, apparently, Alonso was asked by ESPN's Kenny Mayne after a game against the Yankees. Of course, Yankees probably won that one. So they're better than the Mets. Whether he saw anything weird in Vegas. A 24-year-old first baseman appeared to try and find the right words before giving this answer. It's kind of like, great interview so far. You just kind of get used to it. You see weird stuff all the time driving in. I lived outside the city of the suburbs, so driving into Fremont Street, that's kind of where the old ballpark was. Driving down, you see something weird every day. Eventually, you just put the blockers on and kind of get used to it after a while. Well, that doesn't say anything about aliens. What, does he work for the government? He plays for the Mets, so his career's not going to last long. Is he getting into the CIA or the Men in Black after this? go take over Lou Elizondo's job at the Pentagon after he left? I don't know. Final story tonight. Yeah, we're heading to Shelby, North Carolina. It's almost a Florida story, but this one's close enough. A woman in Shelby says she's seeing something very strange in the woods behind her home. Vicky Cook said, "Sometimes I think this can't be real. It went in front of my camera." What is it? Another grainy video of a Sasquatch. Cook shouted, "I screamed. I didn't know what it was, but that thing was tall." She says the Sasquatch sighting started back in March. Footprints are her proof. "I think I've counted about 8 different size prints," Cook said. "This is a juvenile, but look how long it is. That's a big, big print." For centuries now, trackers have been trying to trap the elusive creature. John Bruner documents sightings across the country and runs the Bigfoot 911 Facebook group. "It was huge," he said. "Huge. It was on 2 legs. It was bipedal." John, Sasquatch are bipedal. That's 2 legs, man. The hair on the head on the body was real, stringy, and matted looking. Hold on a second here. We just heard that the video was grainy, and now we're getting full detail about the hair. My gosh, I'm sounding like Mr. Skeptic on Twitter. Which one was it, man? Grainy? Or fully able to tell what it is? Oh, but Vicky, just so you know, she doesn't want her new hairy neighbors going hungry. She's been feeding them. "Oh, I mostly feed them candy and cookies. They love peanut brittle and chocolate and peanut butter sandwiches. They don't like apples and bananas." Oh, great. We got Sasquatch with a sweet tooth now. You got them hooked on human food rather than their berries and whatever else they eat. Hooked on candy now. Gonna have to send them to Sasquatch Candy AA. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. In your opinion, how real is demonic possession? Oh, we went well for this one. We went deep, deep, deep undercover for this one. All right, we're going to get into it. Let's start off with Uncle Roy. Demonic possession is real. A woman under a spirit influence used to come to our church as a kid. I was a kid and used to cuddle close to Pops. Crazy memories of her. I will never forget her antics. Plus, I heard a tape of a best friend's church service where a possessed woman cleared half the congregation out. Scariest audio I have ever heard was Michelle possession. Ooh. John. I am working on a hypothesis that will eventually show that most, if not all, possessions are self-defense actions taken on by the subconscious of an individual whose consciousness can't stand up for themselves, just as with poltergeists. Okay. Daniel. The mind is an extremely powerful thing, much more unexplained and fantastic than we know. With that said, I believe that some people truly believe they've been possessed by a demonic entity, but more than likely, it's probably the mind manifesting the entire experience. David, tweet of the day. If you pay for an exorcism on credit and can't make the payments, do you get repossessed? Okay. Probably should have saved that one for the last one. Taro, if a demon can possess the Toronto Maple Leafs to not win a cup in my lifetime, I'll believe it. Taro, I'm with you. After the Raptors win, we will never hear it down in this country if the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. Let's just pray. Let's pray. Oathkeeper on Twitter. I believe it's more so an untreated mental illness or disorder. Your own mind is your greatest enemy. All right, I think that's where we're going to leave it tonight. I want to say big thank you to Captain Shirk for putting our news together on the SOR Newswire. You can find it on Facebook at the SOR Newswire and, of course, on our website, spacedoutradio.com, probably the easiest place to choose to find the news. Big thank you tonight to Nathan Gillis, njgillis.com. If you want to check out his website, talking demons, demonology, exorcisms, tulpas, incubus, succubus, and my ex-mother-in-law. We got it all in tonight. Loved the interview. Great guy. Great guy. Tomorrow night of the show, we're heading north of the border. Strange cases from across Canada. The boys from the Dark Poutine podcast, you can't get any more Canadian than that. The Dark Poutine podcast are going to be with us. We're going to talk about missing people, UFOs, ghosts, a lot of fun stuff. Well, not really fun for the people who are experiencing it, but they're going to bring some really, really interesting topics. And I'm sure they'll even be bringing ones that I've never heard of. See, we don't popularize the weird and strange up here too much. So when we get guys like Dark Poutine coming on, that's where we got to take advantage of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com is when we get things going. So hopefully you'll start your weekend off with us as well. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms, on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for tuning us in tonight, telling your friends, doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now, because we're going to finish off the week strong. Mr. Bumblefoot,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Mr. B, take us home.